My apologies. I'm so sorry. I'm just running a little behind today. But welcome to the TransFusion Podcast. I'm going to let all the hosts in today. Here goes Sincere, OG Porter. We have Trigger. We have Pierre West. We have Miko. Oh, not that one. We have Miko. Hey, how y'all doing today?
What's going on?
What's going on? Good evening. Good evening.
I'm so sorry. I was running a little behind. My apologies. Okay, so let's kick it off. Who wants to kick this off?
Alrighty. So tonight, as some of you have seen on our advertisement, we're talking about mental health. But tonight, we're going to focus more on the mental health of our brothers. As you can see, we've invited our trans brothers up tonight because we'll soon be having a spin-off of transfusion for transfusion men. And that's for our trans brothers because the fact of the matter is they have just as much, if not more, going on as we do. And oftentimes their stories aren't heard. So tonight we want to focus a little bit more on that. Can I get you men to go around and introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about what brings you here with us?
Any particular order, fellas, or we just gonna jump in?
Jump in there.
All right, I'll start since I'm already talking.
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So my name is Sincere. A lot of y'all may know me by OG, which is the common community name that everybody knows me by. From Florida, in Atlanta. What brings me here tonight is being willing to speak openly about topics and things that necessarily affect the mentality of trans men and the sex and masculine individuals.
Hold on. Let me stop you right there real quick. Currently, we're experiencing really bad feedback. So when you're not talking, if you could mute your camera, and so that the only people who should be unmuted are the ones who are talking. That way it'll kind of eliminate some of the feedback.
Yeah.
Go ahead and finish.
Okay, so and I first want to thank you all for giving us the platform to be here and be able to collectively be able to talk about this. So I definitely appreciate you for this opportunity. So like I said, I'm here to just be vulnerable, be willing to be vulnerable. And talk about, like I said, talk about topics that we don't necessarily get to collectively talk about or that we, feel safe about talking about. So it's a pleasure to be here to be able to collectively have this conversation.
Thank you for joining us. So what other men do we have up here today?
My name is Pierre West. Founder of True. I do perform. My name is Scorpio Fox. I don't think what brings me here? I really came just, to be seen and to be in order to be in this space with y'all. And my brothers on here. I know everybody on here already, but it's just an honor to be here. I don't really do these a lot, but it's an honor to be here.
Well, definitely. Thank you for joining us. And our last brother joining us today.
Hi, I'm Trigger. I'm from New Orleans. I do pageants, but I decided to do this tonight because I don't really do things like this, and I felt like it'd be a good opportunity to speak on different topics with my brothers, and maybe it can help somebody else what I'm talking about or how I go through things. So that's why I decided to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Well, thank all of you for joining us. What I want to do is start by asking you what's important at this moment in this climate to trans men. We talk a lot about what trans women are going through and how we're going to be affected by the hormone laws and all of the things that are happening with this administration. Tell me what most affected you as trans men during all of it.
Your microphone kind of like mic'd out during the question.
My bad. Okay, I hear myself an echo though. So everybody, could you please mute yourselves when you're not talking? So what I was asking was, in this particular administration, with everything that's going on, we know how trans women are being affected. We know what's scaring us. What and how are trans men being affected by this current administration? What are some of your main concerns? Did y'all hear that?
Yes. I don't want to be the elected one that's gonna go first, but I'm gonna go first. Again, so I am a concern for me, not just because it's a part of my job, but it's also my job and my duty, my responsibility, and my pleasure to serve my community in the capacity that I do. So I work inside of reproductive justice. I'm a trans health coordinator in Atlanta. Outside of that, I am the founder of the Trans Reproductive Justice Project, and that's geared specifically towards trans men, intersex, transmasculine individuals, and their needs as it arises to reproductive justice and also T for T relationships. So for me, I know a lot of people see reproductive justice and think of it's a women's issue. But that narrative has changed. It continues to change, especially in healthcare. We don't even use, we use terms like birthing individuals, birthing people, and those things specifically because of the vast communities that we serve and like how they fit under that umbrella. So for me, it is reproductive justice. It is the lack of access when it comes to reproductive justice in trans men. It is the lack of comprehension of why we need reproductive justice as trans men. It is a danger for us to not be mentioned in the topics of reproductive justice as it relates to trans men and intersex individuals. Yeah, so that as it relates to this administration, because that was one of the first attacks, was reproductive justice. And
I'm actually quite glad you brought that up, because as a side note, when we start hearing terms like birthing people, and when we hear stuff like, transmasculine or trans men who are having children, oftentimes trans women get blamed as though we came up with those terms and saying that, all women are just not women anymore. Now you can't be called mother if you call birthing people. And I constantly have to explain to them, this isn't about women. This is about men who can have children. This is about men who birth babies. They want to be called birthing people. So I'm glad that you brought that up so that people can understand that this is not a trans woman thing. It is a trans man thing that needs to be respected.
yeah, one of the terms that came up when it comes down, I hear the echo again, so I just want to make sure.
I can't hear nothing that she's saying in the right corner. Like the questions, but I can hear sincere for sure.
Real quick, if it ever comes a time where y'all aren't able to hear somebody speaking, you might have to refresh and come back up. So you might have to drop down and come back. If it comes a time where y'all can't hear, it's part of StreamYard. It's just the problem we have with StreamYard.
So yes, another term that trans fathers have adopted in the term that we first initiated was seahorse dads, because medically and when you look at a seahorse, he's the one that actually is the birthing parent. So we thought that was innately like an intricate way to be like, yo, look at that. Like nature is reciprocating what, our abilities. So yeah, we honed the term seahorse dad, and as healthcare individuals and as an individual that helps to shape what reproductive looks like nationally, birthing individuals, birthing people. And like you said, those things aren't specifically correlated to women. It relates to trans men, into the intersex and masculine individuals as well. So like I said, being left out of those conversations, not being in the rooms of those conversations, not having a voice in those conversations, or being an afterthought in those conversations, is what's one of my major concerns.
And so, what about, because I know that, and this is, I want to ask to all three of you and how you feel about this. I know with us in this current administration, a lot of girls have chosen the route of invisibility, have chosen to just blend into society, invisible. Some have even separated themselves from the trans community because it's getting that hectic, it's getting that scary. How do you maneuver every day? Do you find any passability issues or any issues with being scrutinized about your gender on your day-to-day basis? Or is it easier for you to blend?
If I may, is Pierre on here yet?
Yeah, but I can hear any question.
Okay. Sis, can you, and the reason why I because Pierre is the youngest out of us, so I want him to answer that. Ask it again, sis, if you can.
I was asking, in this climate.
See, I can't hear.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No, I can't hear.
If you can't hear,
Like immediately when she starts talking, it goes mute.
Okay, let me see if I can maybe get close. Can you hear me now?
Should
Can
I
y'all hear
drop
me
down
better?
first?
So
Come
basically,
back.
can you hear me, bro?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So basically, what she's asking is in regards to like passability and stuff on a day-to-day basis. You ever had any issues with that? Because I know you kind of like the baby out of the bunch. Do you feel like you've ever gone through that, or since you've been transitioning, it's been a smooth slate for you?
Yeah, when I could say when I honestly first started my transition, that was a big part of it, like as far as dysphoria, because I felt like I just felt like it was slow. My appearance was slower than normal, so I used to always look at that. And to be honest, sometimes I still do, because and sometimes I might feel like I'm not there yet, but I might hear otherwise. But I think it's just a thing within me. But at this point right now, I think I'm comfortable with the passable stage. If I passable, if I'm not, I don't think I'm too long transition to be. Sometimes I'm not passable. Sometimes that's honestly why I don't do ballroom, because of that. That's a fear with me right there. So that's a part of it.
Okay, Trig.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. OG, I ain't gonna even Trig. OG, you
I can hear you
next
now.
to this joint, so
Yeah, all right.
you hear me, Trig?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
for
I want to
me,
hear. I want to hear some more responses.
yeah, it's
So
more so of I have to hear it from other people, because a lot of times I feel like I still look like the same person. I still sound like the same person. Even looking in the mirror, I be like, yeah, no, this ain't that. Like, I don't be seeing it most of the time. It's weird. I don't. Maybe it's just because for an inner me thing.
So
Can y'all hear me?
I know that.
I think that's my only flaw for me too. It's the only like thing that I like. How I could say it. like that somewhat. It don't bother me, but that's my only flaw within my transition. I felt like at the beginning it was, moving a little slow, but I'm learning to just go with the flow.
I mean,
So let me ask you, because I know that as trans women, we all view womanhood quite differently and being a woman quite differently.
What you said?
I said, being a trans woman, I know that we all view womanhood quite differently. So I would assume that all of you view manhood quite differently and how to be a man and what it takes to be a man and what is living as a man. What individually is being and living as a man to you?
well, shoot, I could jump on that right quick. For me, uh, it's how you show up for your family. I feel like my greatest accomplishment is when somebody can look at me and simply say that's a family man. You know what I'm saying? So with that was all I really needed. When I got that pat on the back, I felt like I was good. It wasn't really nothing else that mattered.
I'm gonna say for me, um, I think when I really, not saying that I gauged my manhood by another man's manhood, but I'm saying that that was not a part of me determining who I was as a man or who I am as a man. I don't, when I decided like to medically transition, I didn't say, hey, look at him and look at him and do that, So my very first introduction to trans men was actually in a trans pageant, and I hadn't even begun to medically transition. So I didn't even, you know what I'm saying? So now medically into that part, I'm still true to myself when it comes to that. I'm true to my morals. I'm true to my character. I'm true to who I am as a person, which makes me who I am as a man. Understanding that I wasn't born a man, like, we're taught at BTAP, like we become one, so that's what every man that's born, regardless of what your body parts are. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, I think it's understanding that I'm comfortable with the man that I see in the mirror, and that anybody outside of that mirror does not have the ability to find like who that man is, what I'm saying, what that man looks like or what that man should look like. So, and yeah, I think that gives me personally like just a different type of confidence for myself, because even in this community, that's a lot of what, in my opinion, that I see, where a lot of the competition lies. I've been, transitioning longer than you, or I've been doing this longer than you, or, all of the things, and not realizing that the bottom line is we all started at the same place, we all started somewhere in our transition. So for me as a man, to look at another man and gauge who I am as another man, or gauge another man by who he is or by my standards or how I live my life, is a disservice to both of us and all of us. So I think the biggest point for me is just being true to myself and who I am, and not let anybody else paint my narrative as a man.
I like that. However, I do want to ask, because as a trans advocate, I know that because
I wish I could hear how she sounds.
huh?
Sis, he can't hear you. He said he wish he could hear how you sound.
Pierre, did you refresh your? Did you refresh
Refresh,
it?
sis.
Refresh the page, and you'll be able to hear.
Refresh. Let me refresh right quick.
Now, I know that we talked, me and the lady have talked about identity politics and policing.
Oh yeah, I can hear now. I'm in there.
Because we're such a small group, we tend to be identified by the outliers, those ones who make a spectacle, and then it makes us all, and we're the ones who come under the microscope of that. And mainly because trans women are at the forefront in that kind of argument. Trans men are lucky enough not to have to be at the forefront of that kind of shit, so they're not. usually judged by one outlier. You know, one trans man goes out and does something crazy, and all of y'all are judged by the standard. Is there any trans men behavior that, in the back of your mind, you do feel problematic for the community?
Who want to go first?
Don't be scared to say either.
No. You know, for me, when we as men get a little bit too loud and kind of catty-ish, and we start to, because I'm gonna call a spade a spade. We kind of do this kind of going against each other a little bit. Like my brother was saying earlier, the comparing this and comparing that. I feel like when we start doing a little bit too much of that, it draws a lot of attention, and it leads to, well, then people start thinking, well, is that a punk? Punks like act like that. It starts just being a little bit too much. I know I've seen it a lot. You know what I'm saying? And when all that extra behavior starts going on, those questions come into play, especially out in public.
And what do you other men think about that?
I want you to repeat it one more time for me.
Can you hear her, bro, or no?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so because we all from kind of different states, so y'all can know. I think we all can express, different points. So her question basically was, is there any certain type of behaviors, that we as trans men may display that we kind of consider to be a little problematic? And my response was, when we kind of get a little extra with the cutting up and carrying on, and people start looking like, well, damn, is that a gay man? Because this person is a little extra and flamboyant and loud and so on and so forth. And when we start being catty towards each other, that was my response. So she just kind of asking, like, for you, is it anything that, say, one of your brothers may be doing that have you like, I don't think I want to be around this cat. You know what I'm saying?
All right, yeah, well, yeah, all right.
Yeah. And let's talk. Let's really talk.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I'll say one of the things I would say is it'll be jealousy. It'll be jealousy when I say that, it's like it's different categories, because it's not just jealousy about this man. It's like in the community, some guys get more jealous of the next guy from what he got going on. From you want to do that. They got guys, like Sincere said, they got guys that are jealous because you look a certain way and they don't. Or they got I think that's why I say jealousy overall. As far as that's a big factor within the community with us guys, why we can't come together and like be one, because there's a lot of jealousy, but it's just so many different types of jealousy that I could just vouch for.
I don't. Whew.
Give it to us raw, OG. Give it to us raw and uncut.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to yeah.
Lay it out.
I personally think because I can still consider myself, fairly new, even though everybody know me. I just jumped on this thing and hit the ground running. So it was a little different for me. But it's for me, from what I see, because I'm an I statement man. I got, I'm gonna do that. I don't want somebody to come back and be like, Sincere said that I personally feel, I don't know if you can call it, it's just amongst trans men, nothing to do with trans women. Amongst us, it feels like a God syndrome hierarchy type of thing. You get what I'm saying? Like everybody's walking around with their chest off and trying to see who's I'm the strongest, and I got and not understanding and respecting. So for me, as a moral character, ego, pride, all of those things, combusted into one. And so when you get us, in spaces like that, and we're not first able to check ourselves, you know, and our things that make us and our quirks and things like that, we get in those spaces. And like I said, we like to run around like apes. Like, it's like, I got to be this more than you, and it's not, I can't say that it's competition. It's, for me, I see it a different way, because it's, when you see it in action, it's spiritually draining. Like, you know, because I understand, you know, you being a man of trans experience, or being a trans man for 20 years, and you've been doing the thing for 16 years, and you've been doing it. But like I said, and I'm going back to it, like, understanding that we are people, like, we are human. You understand what I'm saying? And the more that we go against one another, it could be somebody as simple as making a post about another trans man, and it's a trans man making the post, running around here, and the man pregnant. Is you want to, like, how do you have the audacity to be able to spill out that type of rhetoric, and then to turn around and demand that another gender, like, respects, like, whatever it is that you have going on within your transition? Like, so for me, I just feel like it's one hierarchy over the next, like, and it's a combustion, and it's something that needs to be addressed, because it's unnecessary. And it's unnecessary on, like I said, not just on the aggressive, or I'm the man, or I'm a man, and you know, all of those things. It's unnecessary as community, because a lot of us have to be, and it spills over into other community, you know. And so that gives all of us a, you know, certain kind of light. Because when I talk to people, because trans men, no, you can't, I'm not going to allow you to umbrella me under something, you know, that came before me. If it's something that I did as an individual and as a person, I'm man enough to own up to what I did. But I also think that takes a lot of accountability, and the masks that we wear in public. Some don't take off when they get home. They stay up under that mask and tend to you know, forget who they are as an individual. So that leads them into an inadvertent competition with everybody else, not understanding who they are as an individual and as a person. So you got a lot of that.
I agree with you 100%.
You got all of that
I really think that is that. Now that you say that is, I could say that's another thing. It's like, I feel like problem within us trans men is us trans men trying to tell trans men how to be a trans man and what is a trans man.
And
like,
it's unnecessary.
Yeah,
We're
like,
people.
like
We're
I see that
individuals.
every day on my timeline, like another trans man saying, "You not a trans man if," or "You not a trans man if, but you're a trans man."
Yeah.
And that just don't. That's why I don't comment too much on it. I don't speak on it too much, because that's not my forte. But I think that that's a real problem, because they got this look like every trans man just gotta be masculine.
Right.
Like it is not like that.
Or remember we was talking, P?
You know, which they have them, and I understand, but you can't, like, I feel like I told my mom, like my biological mom, what I had to tell her was basically like, we are trans man, we transitioning. Every man is gonna transition into their own type of man. Nobody is the same. Like, nobody's gonna be, some dude's gonna be a gangster. Some dude's gonna be soft. Some dude's gonna be in the middle like that. But everybody, you know, being a trans man, you can't judge the next trans man and expect to build a community together.
I'd like to answer a question in the comments. One of the questions in the comments, if I can, from Michaela, that states, why as trans men are we so quiet when it comes down to them standing up to cis women for our rights? And everybody don't want to, you know, everybody's advocacy looks different, you know. I get the questions of, yo, did you see this person say this about, and why didn't you jump in? That's, you know, that's not really not nothing that I want to like jump in and give my energy to. But also some people that's just not their thing. Like, and I get it. Like, especially if somebody's in the comments or somebody's in that space, and they may just don't have the capacity, you know, to do that. They may feel unsafe to like say, hey, if I jump into this now, I'm putting myself in a certain type of harm or danger or in harm's way. Um, and I get it because we get the same thing, so it's not just trans men, some are quiet when it comes down to, especially when you're talking about on social platform, going back and forth with people that we don't know about, that don't know anything about our lives, but behind the keyboard, they want to have these discussions and polarized discussions about our gender and sexuality when they don't even have the common sense to separate the two. So when it comes down to certain things and certain issues and certain fights, some people just don't want to be a part of it just because um, some people feel like it's not going to change anything. And I get it that it makes you feel unseen and unheard. And like, what's the point if y'all not going to help? But, one monkey don't stop no show, so don't let whatever individual that, if that has happened to you that did not stand up and say, yo, I agree, or I'm going to join this fight, with my sister because she's standing up for me. I say thank you, for standing up and talking for our rights. And if I get it, and you're seen, and your feelings are valid. And like I said, some people just, they just don't want to be involved in that way. But I get it.
Well, can I ask too, then, because I was going to lead into the trans man community relationship with toxic masculinity. Do you think that in many ways trans men aren't as verbal or don't engage in those sort of conversations as much because Black men are taught to kind of hone in their emotions and kind of keep the problems that they go through to themselves? And you're kind of conditioned in that way of being a man. Do you think that has something to do with it?
I think it could have something to do with it. Definitely have something to do with when it comes to certain trans men. I think also a lot to do with it is we don't really have a lot of spaces. Like we have to like ease in and like tiptoe around, like even when we like even in trans spaces, like if it like just trans friendly spaces and around allies. So I think a lot of us are becoming more comfortable in the spaces that we are in. They're becoming more comfortable with their voice being heard and not being sexualized. Like, oh, they go to trans man. Like you're overlooking and everything outside of the fact that I'm a trans man. So I think that we are becoming more comfortable. I think that because our voices have been unheard because of us being stealth and all of the things surrounding all of safety reasons and all the stuff. So I think we're becoming more comfortable with it. And yes, I think it comes down to those behaviors because in certain points in certain avenues in certain lives, that's, it wasn't where we had to be around community and be around or have to defend those types of things because, our visibility wasn't as visible as trans women and hasn't been as visible as trans women.
If I may, I don't think I'm picking on you, Trig, but you're the quiet one out the bunch. So I want you to talk. I noticed that you don't say much, but I've seen you like on stage. I've seen you in your pageants and things like that. So I'm wanting to ask, do you use that platform or is like that like your outlet for you to display? Because you don't say much. So I kind of really want to hear
Honestly,
from you. Huh?
yeah, I don't say much. But there's part of the reason, future. Future. Part of the reason I don't say much is because in the beginning of my transition, I used to live up north and I was attacked for being Black and trans,
Oh, okay.
and it was a
Let's talk.
big sticky hassle. Like when I one of the pageants I did, I used it in my talent, and that's the only time I ever talked about it. But with me being attacked through that, and like a lot of times I can't see out of my left eye, and people don't know that, and it's part of that from that.
So you mean physically
But
attacked?
yeah, Like there
Wow.
was we found random videos of people that actually seen it, and I was walking down the street and they jumped out of a car and ran up from behind. And
Because
like
you
there's
were
video,
trans.
like it was real bad. Yeah,
Because
there was because there was it was during the when the Black Lives rally first started,
yeah.
and I was living in Iowa. So randomly every week they was attacking different groups, and I was leading one of the marches. And exactly that next Friday, I was attacked downtown. So after that, I got real quiet and didn't really involve myself in anything. So honestly, within these past couple of years, I just started talking again and being involved in anything. So with me not talking and being real shy, I use me on stage as my outlet. Like anything that makes me happy, songs that I really like and I enjoy and I see other people like, that's just the stuff I do on stage. I do what makes me happy. So that's my outlet and how I get through in different ways. Different ways.
Have
Wow.
any of the rest of you had to deal with violence because of your gender?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Have any of us? No, I almost encountered because I started my transition while I was a correction officer, and one of the inmates, uh, he just seen a new guy. He didn't realize, I was Officer White. So it actually took for him to kind of like get all the way up on me before he went to swing. He was like, "Oh shit, White." You're like, "What happened? What you?" So I was almost there, but I thank God to this day that that didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? But I think I had told you this one time when I kind of was going back and forth with a couple of officers on my job, you know, because West Indian, that's not really something they believe in, being, and verbally it got a little aggressive, but physical, no, I thank God, no.
Well, thank God for that for sure. But because I know you you guys tend to be a little bit, like I said, a lot more blendable. I know we get attacked a lot. And but you guys tend to be a little bit more invisible and are able to blend. So I always kind of pictured in my mind that you didn't have nearly as much of a problem as we do. But I learned over the years that you have just as much of a problem as we do. You're just as much attacked as we are. And I've also learned that a lot of your abuse comes from trans women. So talk to me about the relationships between trans women and trans men. What, how do y'all feel about the treatment of trans men by trans women?
Well, first off, I'm gonna say, um, the reason that I am T for T, I can honestly say is because it might sound mediocre and basic, but that's I feel like they understand me more than a cis woman would because I actually was dealing with before when I first transitioned with a cis woman, and the respect just ain't there as much as it is with a trans woman because I feel like we on the same level. You don't want me to disrespect you, so you ain't gonna disrespect me. But which I know it could go vice, the opposite too. And as far as anything else, I've never really did have them any problems as far as that. Like
Um,
For me
personally,
personally,
I feel more comfortable.
I feel more comfortable.
Maybe because we are
Maybe
going through the same
because we are
thing,
going through the same
but
thing,
it's more
but
comfortable for me.
it's more comfortable for me.
Somebody lagging.
Yeah. Okay. So we heard from one of you. Who else?
Has anybody else dated trans women or feel like they're kind of under attack a little bit, or you know a fetish or fantasy, and if you say
Well,
no it gets aggressive?
well, honestly, I've been in
Different types
two
of
different types of
relationships.
relationships.
One time it
One
was
time
comfortable,
it
and then
was
I've been in another
comfortable, and then I've been in
relationship
another
where
relationship where it was more just a fetish, and she just felt like, oh yeah, you just a piece of pussy, and I could treat you like this, and you not this, you not that, but you want me to respect you and respect your transition, so you need to feel the same way about me.
So where did that put you mentally? You know, in regards to realizing that, you know, even though y'all kind of on the same journey in life, quote unquote, but you really just turned out to just to be a, like, you know, where did that put you?
Honestly, personally, it fucked with my mental in ways. There was times I had to think about like, damn, like, is that what you really are? Are you still just that female, or like, are you really transitioning? Maybe a transition don't mean nothing. You still look like the same person, so everybody just gonna treat you that way. But I was just letting her tear me down and not realizing who I am, forgetting myself for wanting to be around her. I guess.
I've I've had to witness more closely relationships between trans men and trans women, and some of the dating pool of trans men and trans women, and how that kind of works. And I have seen a lot of objectification, uh, um, objectification of trans men from trans women, and I know that there has to be a feeling about that amongst the community. You know what I mean? Because I've witnessed it and I've seen a lot of it. Do you feel protected by trans women?
Um,
You say protected
Yeah.
by trans women?
Uh-huh.
I mean, am I supposed to?
Interesting.
That's a good question.
Interesting. But do you?
Because no, because I feel like, to be honest, if I'm ever with a trans woman, I feel like I'm gonna protect her. But I mean, if something came down to the come down, I would hope. But I've seen some situations that it went not that way.
Well,
so
not
I
necessarily.
Like I had like I've witnessed, I didn't witness it, but I've heard of situation. I'm happy I wasn't there, but it was like a group of trans women with a trans guy. Well, a trans guy was with a group of trans women, and like he went in the bathroom and some stuff happened to whatever to where the security guard damn near, like threw him out, and that's just what it was. He just got thrown out the club and everybody just took him home. It wasn't no type of protection. I feel like how it would have been if a trans woman got put out there and I was with her. But like I said, I don't feel they should. I don't know. That's a good question.
On an individual basis, I understand what you're saying. As the man, you want to protect the woman. So on an individual basis, I understand that. What I mean, like on a community basis, do you feel supported and
Yes.
protected?
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Yes. And I am speaking for me, but yeah, because I got a lot of my supporters are trans women. Despite my group that I do have, I have a lot of sisters that do, there for me at times and help me out a lot of resources. But again, like I say, that's speaking for me.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what is it that you need? Because right now we have lots of trans women, lots of trans men coming up under us with all this new legislation that's coming out, and they're banning gender affirming cares for people under 19. They just passed that legislation. We all know that we feel these feelings early on in life. What is your advice to young trans men who are coming up in this era at this time? How do you propose they navigate this?
OG, you want to go first?
Yeah. I spend a lot of my time with the trans youth. Um, and we have this conversation a lot. Um, And one of the things that I let them know is for them, is to remember their importance beyond the medicine.
Damn, OG. Ooh,
Um,
gonna give me the crying, man. Go ahead now.
I I speak with a lot of youth. I mentor a lot of youth that base their sole existence off of the medication and think that they are not valid, that they are not seen, that they are not trans, that they are not important, that they are not necessary simply because of the medication. And the belief that without that medication or those medications that they are not. And that is absolutely wrong and the furthest from the truth. So when I speak to the youth, like I said, that's one thing I let them know. Like, we need you to be able to survive beyond the medication in order to be here and understand that the very creation of you means that, you're validated for who you are as a person first, regardless of how society says this looks and what society says this does not look like. Without you, and without the youth, and us pouring back and reaching back and seeing ourselves in the youth. Yeah, we're in a hellified position. So
let me ask you this, and I just want to dig a little further because you were talking about. I like how you put that. To know who you are beyond the medication. I like that because gender identity it starts with it starts with self. You have to identify first before you know who you are, before you transition. However, I do want to ask, because I'm sure if you guys have noticed with trans women, some of the things that have gone on lately, such as with gold skin. And you hear trans women all over the internet say, that ain't no woman. Quit confusing us. That's not a woman. At least be in some kind of transition. Do you guys sort of feel that same way? Is there at least some transition you feel that should be seen in order for someone to identify as a man? Do you believe that there should be some kind of living as a man in order to be identified as one?
I know
I
for
say
me,
personally no.
go ahead, P.
And
And
I say that
I say that
because I have a
because I have a
few
few
stud
stud
brothers
brothers
who that's
who
just been
that's
them
just
all
been
their
them all
life.
their life,
And that's what
and
they've
that's what
gone
they've
by.
gone
And that's
by,
what
and
I
that's what I
always
just
call them.
always
And
called
that's
them.
what
That's what
everybody goes
everybody
by.
goes
Like,
by. Like,
it's I guess it's more of a mental thing for them. It's not something they're trying to be. It's just in them. So I don't feel like, oh, I'm not gonna call you a man, even though that's everything you do. All that's how you live your life. Like, everything literally comes off as a man. Like, everybody says it. It's just you're not on testosterone. So that's the only difference. Like, now I'm not gonna be like, oh no, that's not true. If that's what you feel you are and that's how you go by, that's what it is. It's just different for some people.
And what about you, fella?
Well, for one, I'm not a judgmental individual, so I can't tell you, you know, you're not a man, or that's not my place to say, because mentally, you may feel like, you know, the man, that man. So who am I to say, oh, you're not a man, or because, because on the flip side of it, taking testosterone, if we're just speaking about that for a moment, you don't always get, some people don't grow facial hair. Some people don't get the breakdown, So it would never be my place to say, you know, who you are as a man, because even before I medically started transitioning, I was living, functioning, doing things that of a man. You know what I'm saying? So of course, we get shit. Well, let me not say sometimes the shady, the cattiness comes in. Folks are throwing shade and, oh, you ain't got your chest done. Oh, you ain't got your name changed, so on and so forth. So it gets a little shady and catty, but overall, it's not my place.
Understood.
And I'm the same way because I didn't medically transition. I'm 50. I'll be 51. God's will, May 9th of this year.
May 9th, I'm May 8th. Oh, I knew you was my twin. Love you. Sorry, go ahead, y'all.
So I didn't medically transition until 2023. So March of this year will be my 3rd year medically transitioning. So the brothers, when I told them like, bro, I'm only on year 3, they was like, OG, stop lying. Like, why you? I'm like, bro, I'm not lying. Like, I did my research, but I knew who I was, like, and I knew like no testosterone wasn't finna tell me who I was, because what if I get on it and like bro say I don't grow no beard and don't nothing really change? Then what's the point? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
and that's what I mean by knowing yourself beyond the medication. It's not like the medication doesn't count or you don't need it, meaning the worth of who you are as a person and as a human being. You know what I'm saying? Your validity just with that alone. It doesn't mean that because you're not on testosterone or estrogen that that's not a possibility, because gender affirming care goes beyond medication, and I'm talking about clothing and attitude and mentality and all of the things. So you can do the medical part and still not have the mentality and the mindset and all of the things that you just, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
That can make you worse.
Right.
Yeah. No,
And for
that's
some that it
fact.
does not understand it medically, when you're just thinking about the medication and not thinking about the vessel in your body as a whole, and you're just worried about the medication and the physical transformation, then yeah, sometimes people can't medically can't medically transition because of, underlying issues. So it's not for everybody, whether that's mentally or like health wise.
Like for me, if I may, real quick, I got on T in 2012. I stopped to do my IVF procedure for my son. Now, before having my son, God, man, I had the deep voice, and man, my transition was looking amazing. Once I had my son and I got back on my T, things changed. It took my hair out, and it seemed like my voice got more high pitched than it was, and so yeah, being on T kind of takes you through a couple of different stages. You got to just know who you are within. You know what I'm saying? So
When you talked about having your child, and this is what I want to know from any other trans man who has decided to become a parent naturally, is that phase of your life, does that play on your dysphoria really bad?
absolutely not. It's the best thing I ever did in my life, and if I could do it again, I would.
Nice. Are
It
you
was
planning to
different
have
for me.
more
I had
children?
my child before my transition.
You said you had your babies before your transition?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Best decision in my life.
Do you think you do it again?
Oh, absolutely. I was going to. I had 5 embryos frozen after I had my son, so I was going to do it again. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, and I'm 45. If I could do it again, I would. It's the best decision I ever made in my life. The best.
I do want to know about the kind of everyday scrutiny or response you might receive from being a pregnant man walking around in the world. Do people react to that?
To me, it was all in how I carry myself. For one, I didn't carry big, you know, and I just got my respect because I just, I was just always me, so what was understood didn't need to be explained. It was very clear that, you know, I was eventually going to have a kid, it was very clear that I had not been with the man, so I was going to do it the way that I did it. And that was really that. So I didn't get any judgment, or the confusion thing, you know. And like I said, if I could do it again, I would. And it just will be what it is. He is. Whew, I get emotional when I talk about my son. Shane saved my life. I will be honest in saying that the only reason why I get up every single day and I function is because of my son. That is the only reason. If I did not have my son, I can guarantee you that there would be no me. And I love myself, but I love my son. Period. Point blank.
So, individually, do you guys prefer relationships with cis women or trans women? Go down the road. Either one of y'all can start.
Trans woman.
Okay.
Who next?
For me, it just depends, honestly. It depends on how we engage.
Okay.
Do you find that, because I know that one of you said that it was easier to deal with trans women because you kind of have the same kind of journey.
Yeah, well, I'm bi, so
What
I mean, I connect more with trans women, but yeah.
what are some of the more common issues that come up with cisgender women and trying to date them?
What are the what?
One more time, sis.
What are some of the common issues that come up when trying to date cisgender women?
For me, is when man they come or argument come up, then I'm back a girl.
For me, it's thinking I still look like the old person, thinking I still look like a stud. And then I get nervous, like, oh shit, she about to say she don't want to talk to this person. So yeah.
I think I don't even because I haven't really dated since I've been like medically transitioned. So I can honestly say that from what I've seen, um, I'm a little afraid to date trans women. I'm not like against it, but it's been, yeah, yeah. So I'm just, I'm feeling my way around that topic, not leaving it, off the table for discussion, but um right now I'm gauging like what that would look like, and that's just, from a genuine standpoint, like genuine looking at hearts and mindsets and all of the good things, and not talking about body parts, but just as a person. um and then the unique relationship between trans women and trans men. So yeah, it's not off the table, but it's something that I haven't experienced. But like I said, I've been single for 2 years and been in transition. I've been single 2.5 years, and I've been single and I've been in transition for 3. So yeah.
Wonderful. Well, now that we're into the second hour of this, our main topic was about trans mental health. For trans women, what are some of the mental health issues that you deal with?
Uh, for me it was I slipped into a deep depression because my mom, God rest her soul, though she loves the community, she was not comfortable with me, one, being gay, two, and in her words, why do you have to be the masculine one, you know? So I was battling with myself for a long time, you know, because I didn't want to let her down and hurt her, you know, so it was taking a long time for me to start my tea. And then when I started the tea, I was hiding it. So every time I went around, I was shaving my face. And, you know, I'm always like trying to clear my, you know, so it shoved me into a very deep depression because I knew what I felt like inside. But because of the love for my mom, I felt like I was letting her down. So it shoved me, you know, mentally. It just really took me somewhere, you know. And then when she passed, you know, quite naturally, I went into my transition full speed. But then I slipped into a deeper depression because I was like, what if? I wonder what would she have said if she seen me now, and you know, would she be happy? You know, so yeah. So I was diagnosed with severe depression. You know.
A lot of trans people have to deal with trying to please families, and I would expect, of course, that it's the exact same way for trans men. How uh, for the other two fellows, what were some of your family dynamics like? Were they cool with your transition? Was it okay? Was it something that they saw coming, or did it take them by storm?
Me and my mom actually just when I say rekindled or got back right, I'm gonna say like the second year that I transitioned. Because the first whole year, I like Sean, like I hid it from her. Like I just didn't go home, like back to my hometown. She would wonder why I'm not coming for Christmas and Thanksgiving and stuff like that. And I just was not embarrassed, but I just was scared because I knew leaving my hometown when I went to college, that's what we fell off at because she wasn't found to me being a stud. So I felt like now that I transitioned, she ain't gonna accept it. But when I first transitioned, what I did was I found her Facebook and I added us and I didn't say nothing. I just would post everything. And I know where I'm from, the city small, so like everybody would talk about it. So eventually she just hit me up, like she would like pictures. And we didn't really talk until the day after my top surgery. Cause I didn't tell her. She saw it on Facebook and she just popped up where I was at after, and ever since then it's like we've been inseparable. And now she
Mm,
tell me every day, like, you know, I'm proud of you. And she just always told me that she just wanted me to be comfortable with myself, even if she didn't accept me. And she was like, she knew that I never, was gonna be comfortable without her accepting. So I think that's what made her accept me. And she love it now, I guess. Shit. She called me mom. She don't call me my dead name, and she don't have a problem with it. She like my performance videos and all that. So I just it's good now.
It sometimes takes a while, but they end up getting to that point. They end up to the point where if they see that you're serious and they see that you're taking yourself serious, they get to that point. I heard you mention that, you said something about even just being a stud. I've witnessed, and I don't know if you've experienced this, but I've witnessed stud sitting in a group belittling trans men.
Yeah,
I've witnessed this happening as
yeah,
if,
that's a big topic right now.
what is the animosity between stud and trans men?
I really don't know the animosity because I don't see the difference. I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't see the difference, but you hear the things from a stud like, oh, you want to be a man, this and that. I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, a stud is the same for you too. It's just I took the extra steps to fulfill it. to actually be a man. I mean, a stud dressed like a man. You played a masculine role. You look like a man, but you judging me for actually going the extra step. Like we dress the same. I don't get it, but that is something that's going on right now. Like the studs bashing us right now for I don't know what reason, but and we always one step. So I don't. That's why I really don't get it.
I've never understood that because I've
I
heard you
don't too
drawing
I
a
don't too much
hard
see the
line.
trans men bashing the studs. You might
Right,
see some retaliation like
right.
that. So retaliation, because I'm gonna be
Right.
honest, I don't retaliate it sometimes. Like I've said that. I've been like, you calling me a man and you the same thing. I just took the extra step. But I don't see too many trans men just talking about studs, how they do.
I don't see that either.
Right.
Like
Mostly when I hear
it's not
this, I
normal.
hear it coming from studs, about trans men, which is why I was wondering. They seem to draw a hard line in the sand that, regardless of how we dress or how we act, we're women, and you and trans men somehow betraying, like you're betraying the woman's side. You can be masculine without having to be a man. Is kind of
Right.
what I've heard,
But
and so
and it don't kill me. But it's like you saying, or you want to be a man, you delusional, you think you want to be a man, but I've seen studs person in their bio, I'm him, and like you, all your pronouns him and all of that. You doing the same thing I'm doing, but when it come down, that's how it is. The studs bash up.
I've seen that. I've seen that.
Yeah, you
I've
can't
always
be talking
questioned
about you
that.
him and he him and all that, and then tomorrow you she and you got your brown and stuff. Like, come on, in public.
I'm not
But to each his own, to each his own.
right, but yeah. So, what are some misconceptions about trans men that not only cis people have, but even trans women might have? What are some of the misconceptions about trans men that you'd like to clear up?
That we now
Yeah, we
all
trying
gonna
to be cisgender. Like we want to, like we trying to be fit in with. We not trying to be cisgender. We're trans men.
yeah,
Some may
and
feel like they want to blend in. Like that's I I I I'm fine being a trans man. I'm perfectly okay with that. Like I don't, and so the comparison comes to with trans men and cis men, and like you don't want to be compared. Don't compare us. You know what I'm saying? So the misconception is and I understand you get the steps and you blend quicker and all the good things, but it's not every trans man is not trying to live a cisgender life, and that's why it's like the mental thing of like you got to understand that you're going from one narrative to the next. But for me, it's the fact that saying that I'm wanting to live a cisgender, like that type of profile, type of
I,
thing.
and another one is,
go ahead.
hold on, what was the exact question again? Because I do not want to say this if that was not the question.
Misconceptions.
What are the misconceptions about trans men that you feel like you'd like to clear up that some other people have about trans men?
All right. As far as for sexualizing, that is we all not bottoms. Like, but it's okay because let's clear it up because I am on a public platform and people gonna see this and all. It's no bashing or nothing like that because I I'm me, but that's just a lot of I see that a lot. Like even when it's girls that I've talked to, and it's not it don't be that. That's what they just always think, and it's not always there. I got partners who the complete opposite.
Yeah, it's funny you said that, P, because I had mentioned that the last time I was on the show. I was speaking in regards to some of my brothers back home. They some hard dudes, but they into what they into. Then you have
Yeah.
somebody like me. I don't necessarily feel like I'm that hard, but I like my ladies. So yeah. That's a big thing, you know. People kind of get it confused, or they automatically assume because you transition, you gotta like women. That ain't, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, or they automatically think, which is sometimes I can understand why if you T for T is that, and it's not always that.
Right.
They got to understand that there is a separation between gender and sexuality. They want to throw it all in one box and then want to create all this polarized like narratives. Like,
It's
no,
like the minute they see a trans man dating a
it's
trans woman,
separate.
the first thing they're gonna say is, "Oh, I know who doing this. I know who
Yeah.
doing that." It is not always that.
Nah, it's an assumption. So, and I'm gonna pick. That was the next thing is the fact that the first thing is perceived as that trans men are bottom, and I'm like, no, a lot of that is because the gender and sexuality thing, like everything is being thrusted into one box, in one bucket. So and just run with it. So now when somebody's sexuality doesn't society wise matches up with their gender, now everybody got their panties and boxes in a bundle because it ain't matching. You know what I'm saying? So sexuality is sexuality, and who we are sexually attracted to it doesn't have a lot to do with gender. If that's the case, you wouldn't be talking about cisgendered and heterosexual and all of the things. You get what I'm saying? So and now we got pansexual. Why? Because people just like I like what I like. Okay, that's fine. So stop with the with the all trans men are bottoms.
Yeah, I came across.
And even if they are, even if that's a part, like I don't care what floats your boat, like that floats your boat. I'm like you said, no judgment, no none of that, because
That's why I would say no bashing.
I work in sexual health, so I tell everybody when it come to that, I don't care who you sleep with. If it's a butterfly, just record it so I can watch it. You know what I'm talking about? So I don't care about it, but don't make sexual assumptions about one gender or the other, trans women or trans men or trans men. Like don't have that narrative when it comes to trans men. Like it's a total bottom thing.
I mean, I know a trans woman. I ain't gonna put her on blast, but she blew my mind when she was like, she let her mates strap on and do her. I was like, really? She was like, nah. I let them do me, and I was like, oh, okay, because I ain't gonna lie,
I ran into one trans woman like that, and one of the reasons why I asked too is because I've experienced a lot of trans women when they start getting into the idea of being with trans men. It's always from a very objectifying kind of sexual standpoint. It's always, I always did want to try that good. I always did want, I could have a baby with them, or I could get this. It's very genitalia orientated. So I want to kind of expound on that a little bit because I do know trans women who are only bottom, and when they're with trans men, they still want to be topped. And that's perfectly okay. That's perfectly normal. And but the prevailing idea is that trans men want to be penetrated by trans women, and that's not always the case. Do you have any of you guys ever thought of post surgery?
No.
I didn't hear the question.
Thought of what?
Having bottom surgery.
Oh no.
Oh no, man.
I like what I got down there.
I'm okay with my body. I'm okay with my body parts, but outside of that, if it ain't going, the doctor can't tell me 100% like that it's going, but I'm okay with my body parts, and I'm absolutely petrified of surgery. So I don't not knocking it. I do not want to get banned or canceled, or if this is aired like, oh, Sincere said no, I'm not that. Float your boat. I just don't want. I'm okay with my body parts and the extra appendages I get to use on top of those body parts.
Yeah, I'm
So yeah,
completely comfortable with that.
I'm all
No,
right
that's
with
it.
that. My body part doesn't like define for me. It doesn't like it doesn't define who I am. I was like, I done had this body part this whole while, like, and then had been 50 years with this body part. I'm not
Yeah,
finna take myself through anything else to
but
be like, you know, this body part, this particular body part makes me complete personally as a man. So no.
I mean, that's what made me a
Um,
trans man. I can't do that.
um, really quick because I'm getting fussed out. I'm getting
It's
fussed out by my
happening.
boss. But if we can just right now focus a lot on just talking about where we are mentally, in regards to our mental health space and things of that sort. Because when I spoke to the sisters today, there was a specific reason why I asked, for us to all be on, and it had a lot to do with mental health and depression, and because I speak to all you guys separately, and we have some things going on in our life, and I feel like it was needed. So because my boss, she know who I'm talking about. I'm picking at her. She kind of want to make sure we focus on the one piece that we was really supposed to be talking about. And before we end, I just kind of want to make sure we dive into, you know, where we are right now mentally. You don't have to go into detail about what you may have going on in your life, but that was the main focus of this show tonight.
I'll say my mental my mental right now, I can honestly say is okay though. Well, I'm not gonna just say it's okay because that would be saying it's wrong. The only thing I could say as far as my mental, what I deal with like right now is going back. Like it be on my mind a lot. Like going back on and it's something that I deal with that's hard because it's like every day I gotta deal with not being who I used to be, and and for me, I don't know if it's for everybody else, but for me that's a little hard because I deal with that a lot at nighttime. And that's honestly that's the only thing that's really on my mental right now. Other than that, my mental is good. I got a lot of good things going. But I think that's just something that's always on my mental. That's my trauma. Like that's something that I just dwell on a lot. My past. But I'm scared about it coming back up.
For me personally, I was slightly going into depression, no lie, but with some recent events that happened, I realized that I actually have brothers that I can talk to about things, no matter what it is, and that alone helped me like get out of it and get in a better headspace. So I'm doing better now.
Good, good. Um,
Um,
we've talked about because I've asked you basically one of the questions she wants to ask is what parts of masculinity feel empowering to you, but we've talked about, what you view as being masculine or how it feels to you or what you feel being man is and how it's different for all of you. Yes. And of course, depression different for everybody. And sometimes you don't even really know when you're depressed. How does it show up and how is it expressed in you?
I think for me, it shows up um, in my body language. Um, I'm
OG,
typically like a
OG,
yeah.
how you feel today?
Oh
Talk to me.
shit.
Yeah, cause
I'm
come on.
I'm real hyper vigilant. You know, I am. I'm like mentally overwhelmed, pissed off, angry. Like I'm in a plethora of of like emotions, like, you know, dealing with what I'm dealing with. So it's got me like super isolated.
Do you
I
think
can
these
say that.
feelings might be compounded by testosterone? Because I know that estrogen can drive us crazy. Does testosterone play a part in some of this anger, some of these feelings, some of this that you're going through?
No, it's what I'm personally facing. Like, so as a, like, it's a spiritual thing for me. So it's weighing on me like mentally, you know what I'm saying? So as a person with that, with as much as I do and as much as I give and as much as, you know, some people on here may know who I am and what I do in community and some may not. But all like, you know, so I've had something taken from me, and so I'm having to navigate around that. And outside of having something taken from me, I was stalked and perpetrated and you know what I'm saying, being followed and all the things until they actually got what they wanted. So now I'm dealing with the understanding of like, yo, this wasn't just a situation. This was actually me being targeted. Like I said, me being stalked, not knowing. And so it's played into effect of, you know, my safety, my, like I said, my emotional, my mental thoughts. So the last 48 hours for me, like I was telling Bev, like I feel like I'm in Afghanistan. You know, it's kind of hard to put into words, but you know, when you something like that just pops up, you know what I'm saying, at you, and then yeah, so that's what I mean by the anger and things like that. Not just I'm just like randomly walking around just angry or just is I don't know what, you know, something is going on. I have an issue that has me in a state where the community is, you know, just rallying around and trying to like help me navigate, you know, within the last 36 hours of this incident happening. So yeah. So I'm trying to, that's why, you know, Bev asks, Sean asks how I'm doing. Like, yeah, because it's just a lot going on right now. So yeah.
Okay.
So
I want to hear from the quiet one.
So I wanted my brother to kind of speak on his own because it wasn't my place. So I'm real big on mental health, and whether I seem like I deal with you like that or I don't, I pay attention to every single body. Every soul means something to me, right? So my brother, he encountered something, right? And my other brothers, they've been, encountering a couple of things. And it was led on my spirit today to say, hey, look, we need to rally around him and we need to open the floor to make it known that it's okay. It's okay not to be okay, but I need you to know that you are safe in our arms, right? So that's why I was like, we need to talk about, mental health today, because he said something to me that was so triggering, right? And I want to say to you personally, I don't want you in that space.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know what this hour is going to do for you, but I hope it do something, because I just need you to move out that space.
Yeah.
When the time is right.
Yeah, that's why, that's why I agreed to come to this space, because I've got some phone calls and stuff, and like I said, once you become, hyper vigilant and you get to in the space where, like you like, like paranoid, and like I said, I still ain't been to sleep. You know what I'm saying? And that deals with the emotions and everything that comes behind it. So I can be a little bit, and I will be a little bit more transparent. So my vehicle was stolen Tuesday night, and I was, you know, like visually shown on video, you know, of these individuals stalking me, you know. So they had a couple of different opportunities within a 3-hour span to like physically cause me harm while trying to take something materialistically from me. And I was protected physically from that, so I was able to actually, all 3 times they just was trying to, you know, find the moment, and the moment for them to make that move was when I was safely inside of my house and unaware that any of this was going on. So since my being aware of that, you know, it's just like, you know, oh, this is something random, to like, nah, you was actually stalked for 3 hours, you know, these people sitting outside your residence, like type of thing. So I was telling brother, like, this feels like, you know, like war all over again. It had you know, it in a different headspace. And that's, you know, that'll have you in a retreat, you know, type of mode, like, you know what I'm saying? And that's a place that I don't want to find myself in. Like, just, I don't want to personally find myself in that space. So that's why it was important for me to show up tonight, and important for me to be transparent about what I'm going through, because it's hard for me to wrap my spirit and my mind around it. I know that's the human me, of how much I pour and give into people, and then to like have that type of attack visualized and understand that, you know, but also to understand the goodness of God, of being protected, because it could have been worse.
People that you knew were.
No, I don't. No, they're not people that and you know what I'm saying. So like I said, my mind, you know, it went into a different space, because you got my truck, but inside of my truck is my registration with my home address, with my birth, with my real name. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just, oh, we got some individual's truck. No, we got Sincere Porter's truck. You know what I'm saying? We also know where Sincere stay. We just had a truck in a parking lot, but now we got this Joker address. So my mindset went from, oh, they just wanted my truck because it was a luxury truck, to, wait a minute, they got my luxury truck with my information in it. And so what if they feel like they want to come back, and I'm like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want to have my life where I'm just, you know what I'm saying, like, and I feel it, you know, get me back in that headspace, and that's something that I don't want to be in that space.
Well, that's going to have to work itself out in your mind. That happens anytime that something negative happens to somebody. When my car was stolen, that happened to me. You know what I'm saying? You always feel violated for a second. You always have to wrap your mind around that real quick and try to pass that point. I don't think that this is necessarily depression as much as it is a shock to the system. Something shook you up and showed you that there are vulnerable spots in your life that can be taken advantage of. And it's just, now you have to be hyper vigilant. Now you have to be aware of everything that's going on around you and watching everything, and you kind of feel like you have to keep that laser focus. So I understand that. But you don't think it had anything they didn't know who you were, did they? They didn't know.
Like, no, I'd like not just be like, oh, there goes Sincere. Like, no, I don't, you know, I don't like socialize with people like that. So I don't know if like I said, like, it has your mind all over the place. Like, how long y'all been watching me? Like, what's been going on? So it takes a sense of security, a sense of safety. You know, it just, yeah. So, like I said, when I'm talking about an Afghanistan mind state, not just, oh, I'm somewhere in a foreign country. I'm talking about mind, body, and spirit. Like, it has you, like, you know what I'm saying? So, and that's a space that I ain't been in a headspace like that in a long time. So, and that's not a place that I want to revisit.
Yeah.
So I don't want this situation You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm in my home where I pay my bills and all of that, there still is a sense of you ain't safe. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't, yeah. So I'm thinking about the safety of others around me and everything else. And yeah.
Tell me now, you said you tonight, one of your biggest things was to talk about mental health. Mental health encompasses a whole lot, especially when it comes to transgender. So, what specific areas of mental health did you want to focus on?
Well, like I said, this particular moment, I felt like I needed to do because my brother was in a space and other brothers, had some situations going on. So that's kind of why I asked for this tonight. But like on a day to day basis, mental health standpoint, uh, I know for me, I just face challenges on a day to day basis. In regards to is somebody going to out me today? In regards to is the person I'm married to going to be in a mood where she want to call me a woman? So I
Does
got
that happen a lot?
yeah, I've only dated, either straight or bisexual women, and no matter how much of a man I feel like, and I'm a man that takes care at home type man. The second you don't do something, you every woman in the book, and I'm
Well,
not,
to
and
be
I'm not
fair,
one of those type that I'm
happens
not
to,
physical. Say that one more time, sis.
I said, to be fair, it happens to trans women all the time. The minute we don't do what a man wants, suddenly we're men.
Yeah,
I said,
and where I go, what becomes so disturbing, for me, the community that we're in, most women are accustomed to being jumped on, attacked, you know, being with them rugged dudes. If you're not busting them beside their head or cheating on them 24/7 and calling them everything under the sun, you're not considered a man, So, um, yeah, I deal with a lot. I don't know if anybody else encounters that, but yeah, it happens a lot, especially when you're dealing with, you know, cisgender women.
yeah.
Yeah, that's wild boredom. I ain't gonna lie.
And then in regards to work, I just had a situation, you know, it got legal because one person got wind that, I'm trans and they just felt like they wanted to share. And, there are people that know me, like as far as work, I mean, I'm a hard worker,
Mm-hmm.
but because the average person don't necessarily know how to deal with a person like me, quote unquote, it just became terrible. Like really, really terrible to the point where I had to have my doctor fill out paperwork, for me to be in an intermittent leave, meaning that when I need a moment, at home to prepare myself mentally to go to work and this, that, and the fourth, I'm now allowed that moment, So yeah, and all this transness, it's a lot on a day to day basis.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
What kind of, it's not your current situation with the stalking, but what kind of day to day things happen or occur during your average day that sends you into kind of that little spiral that maybe play at your euphoria or send you into kind of a little bit of a depression?
Playing from laptop QD5 GIK late.
Who talking to OG?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, repeat that. That little voice had me like, who said
I'm
what?
sorry. The little the YouTube forgive that I'll be doing that at random. But my question was, aside from your current situation, what kind of things on a day-to-day basis kind of sends you spiraling or pull up your euphoria or kind of mess with you a little bit?
Um, I don't. Did you say dysphoria?
Do you have anything?
Oh no,
that you
yeah,
encounter?
I don't deal with dysphoria at all. I think things that I'm dealing with for me over the last couple months have just been loss. And so just processing that, the grieving process just being repetitive, like, so I think for me, it's being lost and being engulfed into work and this work and doing all the work and getting to near about burnout with work. And then once you get to that point, and then you have, for me, that's what's left. Like, it's like, okay, now you done did all of that, but we got to do something with this grief. So I think it's trying to give myself the grace and balance with, hey, it's not something that you're going to like be able to omit from your life. We're going to deal with grief. We're going to deal with loss and things like that. So when it comes down to, as loss that I'm talking about like this before, this is as far as in the physical with people. Yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing for me. And then acclimating and getting acclimated from being away from family. So I'm moving from Florida. I've been up here. This will be my 3rd year that I've been in Georgia now. So, like really just being my system. Most of the guys that I know that here in Atlanta are like married and an hour away, 45 minutes away. So most of my time, 90% of my time is spent to myself. So yeah, so it's just like when I get in those moments, being able to own why I feel how I feel, and I'm like, yeah, it's not just homesick, it's homesick and grieving the people that aren't home when you go home, and the friends and the people that you've lost since you've been here, and yeah. So for me, it's gonna be like grieving and bereavement, and how to like give myself time and space to like actively deal with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you said advocacy burnout. I know that advocates can, experience that dealing with this community, especially. Um, when was the last time you got fed up with the community and the people you're trying to help?
Today.
You said today, P?
Yeah.
What happened? Yeah, because P, man, P been hitting the ground running. Yeah. What's going on with you?
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. Let me see her. Just me. I think I just I look for too much as far as in the community. I'm gonna speak on as far as I'm guessing the trans bro. I think I look for too much. I think into it because like it's just I don't as much as I try to build or get a connection. It's just like day by day it be breaking down, and God be showing me reasons to like know why. Like no, don't deal with this person. But I be trying, bro, like for the positive things. But every day, like God show me a reason a person is not to be around me.
Well, just a little helpful hint for those of you who do trans advocacy, people who do civil rights advocacy go through the same thing. You got Black folks marching, trying to free us. And then on the other side, you got Black folks trying to sing for the white man. And so it kind of gets difficult for a Black person who's trying to stand up for Black people when they see so many Black people who don't give a shit. And that's kind of where I was at one point with trans advocacy. I thought with all the things happening in the legislation and this administration, there should be more trans women and more trans people that care. But it doesn't seem like they do. So it seems like continuously fighting for it gets a little old. And I can see that that's what would happen in any advocacy, really. But the important thing is to remember that you're still fighting for a community, and there will always be members of that community that don't agree. But that doesn't mean stop fighting for the community. So keep doing what you're doing and don't lose hope over it because you're running into ignorance. That's going to happen.
Right. Right.
So we're coming towards the end of the show, and I would like to know what, because we've talked about trans men and trans women, we talked about the younger trans generation and what you have to say to them. We've talked about what it is you want the world to know about trans people, some of the misconceptions. What else do you think that we're missing here? What else? Because I know that you guys are also going to be doing a spinoff, TransFusion Male, TransFusion for Men. I don't know what you're gonna call that, but you know, I know that you're doing a spinoff. So I want to know what kind of things are you going to be driving home on that show? What kind of topics do you want to address personally, so for your audience?
So first and foremost, one of the main things that I would like to bring to the forefront is just having the world be quite naturally introduced to us individually, because we all have separate journeys, stories, walks of life, and just our day to day. And I say that because I've been coming across a lot of older individuals in the community, strangely enough, that have said to me, "Hey, Sean, we really, really don't know a lot about trans men. Trans women have been around for some time, but we don't know a lot about trans men." And it is the truth. And I tell people a lot of times that it's still, you can't hear me. Oh, trans men, it's still somewhat new. We had studs, uh, hate to say this word, bull daggers and things of that sort, but trans men is still somewhat new. So there are a lot of people that are like, well, what is it? What is it like to be a trans man? What happens when you take testosterone, and so on and so forth. So it just would be daily intros into our life. Well, for me, into my life of being who I am, why I chose to take the step further past just being a masculine presenting individual, to why I chose to now medically, you know what I'm saying? So that's some of what I would bring to the forefront. Because at first, when somebody kept saying to me, "Hey, I need you to tell me what's going on, I don't understand," I was like, "Well, what is it? I don't understand. What do you mean?" We are who we are. But truthfully speaking, there's a lot of people that don't know, and they don't know how to, I guess, approach and or deal. They don't know what questions to ask. Sometimes they don't even know how to engage in a conversation, and a lot of just misconceptions. So I'm an open book. I'm willing to ask anything. I have a lot of OGs that have come before me. Um, when the trans, came about, that I would love to bring on show. And these are brothers that you know have been doing this for some time.
Yes.
So for me, that's what I'm personally going to be doing. I'm going to be bringing a lot of knowledge, not just from myself, but from brothers that are much older than me, that can tell back in their day when they was just a butch or a bulldog. And so one of the guys is asking to be pulled back in. If y'all can y'all see him?
And one last question. How do you feel? Because we didn't get to get into this much. I know in the trans woman world, you have trans women that grew up in the pageant scene, the ball scene, and the whole scene, and each one of these things kind of have directed the kind of woman or the kind of path that they've been on. What do you think about trans men that grow up and mature into men in the ballroom?
So, I started out in the ballroom scene when I was 16, walking women's runway. And it helped in me seeing my lifestyle father. His name is Chill Ebony. He's an icon in the ballroom scene for trans man realness. I'm sorry, I'm getting text. He's an icon for trans man realness. He also walks Oway. Then I had brothers like Sean Coleman. You know, he has an organization in New York. That's my dad Chill's brother. It shaped and molded me into who I am because I had those guys, but most importantly, I was raised by, gay men and trans women. And it helped me to have a very open mind. It helped me not to be judgmental. It helped me to love on and understand that we come in many different shapes, sizes, and forms. And there was a time when all we really had was each other. There was a time when my sister or my brother, she came to the ball. She was the fattest thing in the ball. And by the time she left the ball, she was going back out on the beat. If y'all don't know what the beat is, that's the stroll. You know what I'm saying? She was going back out on the beat. Or she was on the beat all night because she needed to get her outfit so she can come turn the ballroom out. You understand what I'm saying? So it just helped in me being a lot more loving and understanding. Poker picking at me. Loving and understanding for my community because I see it from a different light. I came up in that time where, like I said, I was around the gay men and the trans women, so I understand it differently. So I'm more of a nurturer for my brothers. I want them to really understand that, hey, I get that you want to be out there. I get that you want to be out there on the forefront, but make sure that's what you want to do because for real, this struggle that you're because I'm going to call a spade, we're walking into it because it was a gay man or a trans woman's struggle. So sometimes we as trans men, we walk ourselves into it. And I often want them to understand that make sure that's what you want to do.
Right.
Because it's nothing easy about it. It's nothing easy. It's nothing nice about being black and gay, being black, gay, and trans. So I just I want to be able to. I don't want to say hold their hand, but I just want my people to understand. Hey, ballroom is a place where you can grow and develop. It will build character. It will build a lot of character, and I think everybody should get a piece of it. I just recently was talking to the guys about it, because there's just a lot of different directions you can go into from ballroom,
Right. Okay, well, we're getting towards the end of the show, and I know that we might have missed some questions that some of you in the audience may have wanted to ask. I know we for sure missed some of the questions that Boss Lady wanted to ask. So I would invite at this time my daughter, Pocahontas, to come up and maybe ask a final question to drive it home and to give us a taste of what we'll be expecting on TransFusion Men. So Poca, are you there? Poca, are you there?
She keeps saying her audio.
Huh?
She was saying something about her audio. She keeps asking me if I can hear her.
Is she here?
She's there, but for some reason we can't hear her.
Is that Poca down there?
No, I think I don't know if that's Trigger or Pierre. I think two of the guys got knocked off.
Oh.
So it might just be
Well,
us. I don't know who else.
well, anyway, I have enjoyed talking to you guys. It's not often that we get to hear from men, and I think we hear that from a lot of trans women saying, you know, y'all never speak up for yourselves. We never hear from y'all. Y'all tend to be, quiet. We always have to be the ones talking up for you. I think that transfusion men is a fabulous idea because it gives people a chance to hear from you the information you want to give on your terms and the questions that you want to ask and from your perspective. Because oftentimes we do speak up on your behalf from our own perspective, and it needs to be heard from your perspective.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a good thing Transfusion Men is coming. Do you have any specific information about the upcoming Transfusion Men that you'd like to give?
Just be on the lookout for more guys. After today, a lot of guys have reached out. They're very excited. Of course, they think Polka, and the ladies. So just be on the lookout. Be on the lookout, and I mean they're a wide range of brothers. So that's all I'm really. Of course I can't tell their story, but yeah, we got a lot. We got a lot of brothers, and they ready to rock and roll. Yeah.
Amen. Amen. Well, it is 9 o'clock, everybody. That means that Transfusion is about to walk out the door. But I want to thank all of my brothers for coming today and sharing with us because, again, we need to hear from you. We have to hear from you. It's necessary. You're part of the transgender fight too. All of this legislation affects you. We need to hear from you. So be looking out not only for Transfusion, which is Thursday night at 7, but Transfusion Men. You have to give me a day. What day are y'all thinking about doing that?
I'll give a poker on that. My boy's
Okay,
poker.
we'll have more specifics coming for y'all soon, but it